everybody, this is Christine Bertram, and I'm coming to you on a Tuesday for Tip Tuesday. And today I'm going to do a little recap on some cutting of designer series paper. So before I left for the Hawaii trip, I had videoed 3 different Tip Tuesdays and I watched the comments come through while I was in balmy paradise. And on the cutting of the paper one, where I showed you tips and tricks for cutting designer series paper that is 12 by 12, it never dawned on me until after I was done recording the video that I should have shown you some 6 by 6 paper as well. And it further dawned on me more when somebody commented, and I honestly can't remember who it was. I just made myself a little note on the the hotel notepad that when I get back, one of the Tip Tuesdays I need to do as a follow-up is some guidelines and some tips and tricks for cutting 6 by 6 paper to get the most bang for your buck. Because 6 by 6 is not as easy to work with in terms of sizing. When you have a 12 by 12, you can cut that 4 by 3 or that 4 by 5 1/4, and you can have a nice map. Where when you have a 6 by 6 and you try to cut yourself a 4 by 5 1/4 mat or anything that is above 3 inches, you technically don't get as much out of each sheet of paper. So I want to show you some ways that you can cut 6 by 6 paper so that you can get maximum amount of layers or mats out of one 6 by 6 piece of paper. So what I did is I cut some scraps of 6 by 6 sized copy paper that I have from like old wish lists or old schedules, and so that's what I did because I don't have anything that I have coming up for a card class that I can think of in the near future where I need to cut cardstock, or designer series paper. And I also have some samples I can show you that I pulled off my swap boards that use the different size papers. So with that being said, let's flip it down so you can see. Disclaimer, you guys know from watching that video that I generally cut my paper on a guillotine cutter. Stampin' Up! Does not make a guillotine cutter. And so this is the one I've been using for many, many moons. You can use any kind of cutter to cut your paper, but I just like the crisp, clean cut of this guillotine. So I made myself a little note here of different sizes that are good for 6 by 6. So a 2 by 2, a 3 by 3, a 4 by 2, 1 by 6, which you generally would never use, but you could do a 1 by 5 1/4. It could be a 1 by 5 1/2. Basically, you can go up to a 1 by 6 because that gives you 6 strips. A 2 by 5 1/4, 1 1/2 by 3. So those are all the different combinations that I could just off the top of my head think of for sizes. And I want to show you how they cut, and I'll show you some different samples that use those different size designer series papers. So the first one I said on here was 2 by 2. And 2 by 2 is because when you cut at 4 and you cut at 2, that's 2, 2, and 2. That gives you 3 columns. And because this is copy paper, I can cut all these at the same time, and I'm going to be okay. So we got 2, because I cut at 4, that cuts off 2. And then I have 2. So look at this now. So if I want to do something with squares, I had basically 3 by 3, which equals 9. So by cutting it at 2 by 2, it gives you 9 pieces of these little squares. So that's one way. Now, I don't necessarily have a specific card that uses them, but if you, let's look at the back one of these. Like this could be where Kelly in the past did a technique Thursday where she made a window card. So in some cases, this is a little bit big of a window, but you could put 4 squares on a card, and you could interchange the designer paper so that this is one pattern, that's one pattern, and different patterns. So cutting your 6 by 6 and a 2 by 2 gives you 9 pieces. Now the other one I have next here is 3 by 3. So when you cut it 3 by 3, you're getting 2 columns and 2 rows. 2 by 2 equals 4. So I do 3 by 3s a lot. It gives you only 4. That's less than half of the 2 by 2, but you might want a piece that's more in line with this side, and this is a card that my team member Bonnie made, and it was an interlocking card that pulls down and that opens. But the reason I pulled this card is because on the front here, I gotta get this in here. Just go like that. Okay, so this top layer of designer series paper is cut at, get up there little guy, is at 3 by 3. So right there. So that is a perfect example of a card where the 3 by 3 fits perfectly on the front. Now, if you had a 12 by 12 sheet, you would get 4 by 4, so 16 of these, right? So, which makes sense because a 6 by 6 is a quarter of a 12 by 12. So if you multiply 4 by 4, you get 16. Now on the 6 by 6, you get these 4 3 by 3 squares. So far, so good, right? So we got our 3 by 3s, our 2 by 2s. So, and that's an example. The next one you could do is a 4 by 2. 4 by 2s are great because when you cut, now you have to be careful with your pattern paper. If your paper doesn't have a pattern to it, you'll get more bang for your buck on the piece of paper. But if you have a pattern that goes up and down like this one, or like this one, or like these patterns have up and down to them, this doesn't get as much. And I'll tell you why. So let's pretend that our orientation of our paper is up and down like this. And we cut it at 4 and then 2. So I'm going to cut 4 and 2, right? So we wanted our orientation to be like this. That gives us 3. Now, if your paper doesn't have any sort of orientation, you can use this last piece right here, which 4, and it's already at 2 because 6 minus 4 is 2. So if your paper doesn't have any difference about the orientation, you know, the line was going this way and these were going this way, you also would get 4 out of one piece. Now, if for some reason your pattern goes up and down, and if you put this piece on your card and it looks crazy because it's going the wrong direction, you'll have to save this and use this piece for something else. So then you would, in essence, only get 3 pieces out. So you could either get 3 or 4 when you're working with a 4 by 2. And I'm looking to see if I can find anything with a 4 by 2. Not there. Like this would be oh, here's one that's kind of close. This isn't exactly 4 by 2, but because it's a little bit bigger, but you could overlay these like this and have 2 pieces of designer paper that are different patterns and overlay them like that. You could also do it vertical like that. But oh, here's another one. This 2 by 4 is perfect for the bottom. So like let's say you wanted to put the top with designer paper and then put the bottom with some maybe embossed cardstock, and then you could wrap a ribbon around here. Here you're only using 2 by 4 at the top, and you're, you know, depending on your pattern, you'd get 4 pieces out of that. But because your first mat is at 4 inches, this is a perfect one to layer over that first mat to give yourself some extra color or designer paper. So that is a 2 by 4. Oh, that reminds me. I don't know if my brother is going to watch this or not. And I'll make him really, really embarrassed by saying this. But when we were younger, we always, and this is how you pick on your siblings, we weren't allowed to call each other names. My mom forbid that. We could not call each other names. We could only pick on each other's cats with names. But we had a little saying, and I was saying 2 by 4. So the saying is, Tommy, 2 by 4 can't fit through the bathroom door. He could, but that was what we sang. Anyways, that's what I just had a flashback to childhood when I said that 2 by 4. Okay, on to the next size here. I have a 1 by 6, and I say 1 by 6 because it's 6 already, and you could cut off 1 inch off of this and get 6 strips. Now, 6. I don't think that this is 1 inch here. I think this is more than 1. It's like 1.5, 1.25. I'm gonna look to see if I have a little 1. Oh, here. This is a good card. This is a Sandy Carlson swap card. She has here this long strip here is 5.5 because this is an A2 card, so it's 5.5. She probably has a 1. Oh my goodness. No, she doesn't. Now, if I would have made this card, I would have been paper conservative. She actually used a whole piece. Oh, let's see what size this is. This is 2 3/4 by 5. So she only got 2 pieces out of 1. Where when I did a card like this, this is my card. So I used similar paper. I did the same concept with this pattern paper at the top and the bottom. So what I did is I made a 1 by 5.5 and a 1 by 5.5. So I, in essence, I could get 3 pieces, or I should say 3 cards out of one sheet, where she only got 2 out of one sheet. So just to go to show you, like, how you use your designer paper will either make you waste it or it will help you be conservative. So in this case, had she cut herself a little strip like this size, that's all you're seeing here peeking out. And actually, look at that. She's got 2 layers of design. I love this card. It's a pretty card, but it's hard to see it. But there's one paper right there's one pattern, and then she's got the stripy pattern underneath it. So she used 2 pieces of designer paper, and I don't know how much she used of each one. It looks like she layered both of them. I'm trying to see, right? I'm dissecting her card. Oh, she did. She used a full piece and a full piece. Oh, man. Okay, so this is where I would have cut myself a strip and a strip and glued my strips down. So just some different ways to do things. So going back to the 1x6 though. So I wouldn't generally do 1x6 because 6 inches is too long for a card. The most you would do is 5.5. So the first thing I would do is cut it at 5.5, making sure that my orientation is figured out, because if you have those stripes and your stripes are going, what did I just do? So I cut it at 5.5, so like my stripes are like this. I want it 5.5 this way, where if I had cut it this way, then my stripes would be going horizontal, which wouldn't look as cool. If you see these stripes, they look awesome that they're going up and down. You can see more of the stripes. Where if this horizontal, I don't know, the flow is different on a card. See, what's awesome is that you have this horizontal line with the white, and now you have vertical lines. It just breaks it up a little differently. And she did the same thing on hers. She has the stripes going up and down. So cutting your paper, you're always going to say measure twice, cut once. So I cut this at 5.5, which is what basically she did here and I did here. Then on my trimmers, what I can do is go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And when I go to the line here, because this up here it gets wobbly for me. So when I get to 1, I put it on the line and go like that. So now I've gotten 6 strips that you could have done them at 5.25, which would have worked too. But here I would put 1 up here, and I would put 1 down there. And now I have enough to do 3 cards. The other trick that works good, I do 3/4 a lot. So 3/4 by 5.25 or 5.5. So this gave us 6, which was awesome. So 3 cards. Now what you could also do is, let's say 5.25 is a normal size mat, but 3/4 gives you even more. So I would go down to 5.25, 4.5, 3 3/4, 3, 2.25, 1.5, and then there's a little lip on the side here, gives me 3/4. So going back to this card right here, you very well, depending on how stingers you are on paper, you could make, pretend I would have cut it at 5.5, it would have made it, and you would have wasted very little paper. So in this case now you got 3/4 for 2, or for 1 card, 2 card, 3 card, 4 cards. So now you've got enough little strips that you could have gotten 4 cards out potentially for a card like this, and a card like Sandy's, where she could have easily did a 3/4 and a 3/4 of the one pattern and a 3/4 and a 3/4 of the other pattern, and she would have only used this much for each page versus that. So this is also going to get you enough for 4 cards. And if it's 5.25, 5.5, it's really irregardless, or it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's 1x6 or 3/4 by 6, but in essence it could be 5.25, it could be 5.5, or 5. 2 by 5.25. It gives you the least bang for your buck, but it works. So let's say you have a mat like this. I think that this is Sandy's card as well. It's 2 by 5.25. So cut it at 5.25, making sure that you pay attention if your pattern matters. So, let's keep this. Okay, so you had here 5.25, and it was by 2. So at 4 and at 2. So now that gave us 3 pieces. So that's what she's got going on here. 3 side mats, I'll call that. But then she also has a little 3/4 strip here. Look at this, Mita. She's got a 3/4 and then she's got a 1/4. Look at that. All different patterns of paper. But here she'll get, we said 8, I think. And here we said she'd get, or we would get 6. And then with this though, you only get 3, but you're also left with a 3/4 strip that you could use for something, or you could, in essence, put it on the inside, like on the bottom, or you could put it on the side. So that's another one that you could do, is a 2 by 5 1/4 to give you a side panel. This one, let's see what I did here. Oh, I got paper going all over the place now. This one I did was a 1.5, I think. Here's a 1.5. Oh, it's actually 2. This is a 2 by 5. So 2 by 5, we talked about that just the one before. Or, no, that's very similar to this one actually. So this was 2, but I could have cut it, so I cut it at, it could be 5 1/4, it could be 5 3/8, it could be 5. Either way, when you cut it at 2 by something like that, it gives you only the 3 pieces that would fit down there. So 2 by 5, 2 by 5 1/4, something like that. Now, there's another one here that I listed as a 1.5 by 3. I'm almost out of samples here. 1.5 by 3. The reason I put this on there, because this is a good one too, there's a sample card I had found on my board that looked like this. And this was 3 by 1.5. Now watch this. So you in essence cut your paper in half, so that gives you 2 pieces. But now when you cut them at 1.5, basically you go backwards. So I go backwards. So 6 minus 1.5 is 4.5, minus 1.5 is 3, minus 1.5 is 1.5. So we've gotten now, I think it's 8. So 1, so 2, 3, and then we have 1, 2, 3, and so it is 8. Now, whoever made this, I don't know, no name, can't give credit, but pretty card. There's 3 pieces that are all different DSPs, and then you could interchange, you could cut up a whole bunch of sheets and then interchange the patterns. So 1.5 by 3 yields a lot of pieces as well. This card too had I call this like a tri-panel portrait type, where sometimes you'll do the whole piece all the same and then you cut it down the middle and spread it out. In this case, Shante from the Shoebox Swap, she did 3 panels and all different, and they were 1.5, which is awesome. So 1.5 gives you 4 across, and then it was, though, let's see here, it was not quite 4. So she would have gotten 4 pieces out of 1 piece, but depending on her orientation, she would have only gotten 3. But if the orientation didn't matter, you'd get 4, because you'd get 3 this way and then you'd get the 1 going this way. Okay, another card here that just uses a little bit of DSP at the bottom. So that's awesome, because how many do you get out of there? You'd probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 if the orientation doesn't matter. Here was another card that I made for a swap using a 2 by 5. Less than a 5, close, not quite, 4 3/4. So, but it was 2, so I got 3 out of each designer series paper. So and the reason I pulled these samples is because the Dragonfly paper was 6 by 6, as well as the tidings and trimmings is 6 by 6. So good use of strips of paper. Here, strip of paper. Here could have been littler strips of paper instead of the big pieces. That would have helped save a little, like the strips of paper here. Oh, here's a good one too, this banner here. This banner is at 1.5, and it's not quite 6. So when you banner cut that, you start off at 6 and you end up at whatever it is. 1.5 gives you 4 of these. So that's cool. Now here's one that I didn't really talk about. This one is, it's great. So when you want to use a bigger piece of designer paper, you got to go for it. And you don't care really about the quantity that you're going to get out of a designer series paper if you're only making 1 or 2 cards. Like if you're not making swap cards, or you're not cutting cards or paper for classes, you don't necessarily care about maximizing your paper. So if that's the case, just go for it. Use that full 6x6 piece into only one mat. That's okay. Then you can use the scraps along the side. Like in this case, this is a beautiful card. I absolutely love, 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 L-O-V-E, love this card. The designer paper is cut at 2.5 by probably 5 1/4. It's gorgeous. If you would have tried to make this down to 2, it wouldn't have had the same wow appeal as it does now. This card is beautiful and in every way, and because this designer paper was spread out over more of the card front, you got to see a lot more of how beautiful it is. If Sandy would have gone down to 2, it would have cut off all of this, moved this over, shown more white over here, and it just wouldn't have popped as much. So the fact that she did use my favorite designer series paper and used it like almost fully on this card front was awesome. So you just pick and choose how you want to do this. This one, I have a hard time with it, and I did it. This is my card. Look at this, you guys. So this size, and what I want you to see is the designer paper back here. So Sandy's here is 4 1/4 by 3, and I cut mine at 4 by 3. The only difference between these two, and you can't really tell, is 1/4 inch. Her border, so I didn't put a border like she did, and I did a mat on the background, which used up some. But in all honesty, these mats back here look very similar. But because I did 3 by 4, it left me, so you got one here and you got one here. It left you but with a 2 by 6 on the end, which is a great for an extra 2-inch mat somewhere on the side. Like this was that 2 inches. Now, with the 4 1/4, it leaves you with 1 3/4, which isn't quite as much. But awesome though. She would get 2 mats out of the 6x6. Beautiful card. Didn't she do an amazing job on that one as well? Here was another one that I did on mine. I made this 3 by 4, just so it left me with an even amount. So it left me with nothing on the side because 3 plus 3 is 6. And now I have a 2 by 6 piece on the bottom. And I think what I did when I designed this for a class, that 2 by 6 got used somewhere else. Like when I was designing, it could be like this piece was the bottom. So when I'm designing cards for classes, I try to maximize as much as I can. So, ooh. Okay, on another note, Sandy Wicklander sent this. So that was everything I had on 6x6. You guys, just know that there's always multiple ways that you can cut paper down, and just being strategic and thinking about it is great. If you're not certain about how to cut the paper, you know what you should do? You should make a scratch piece of paper like I just did here. Like something that you don't care if you ruin the paper. Where when you cut that designer paper and you only have 2 sheets in a pack, or potentially only 4 in the pack, and now you've just cut it up and it was incorrect, then you're gonna cry. We don't want crying and stamping. There's no crying and stamping. So use scratch paper or map it out. Draw a little diagram that says 12 by 12 or 6 by 6 and draw your lines and do the math. Math is hard sometimes, but it helps when you can figure a little bit of that out before you start cutting. So I wanted to share this too. I did share this the other night in one of my lives recently. Sandy Wicklander sent this to me in the mail with some happy mail, and I believe because I did that 12 by 12 Tip Tuesday, like I took a picture of this on Pinterest many moons ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it's in my phone somewhere. Like that's how I feel about it. It's somewhere gone. But now Sandy sent me this, and it's on cardstock, and I can put this up, and when people ask me for it, I can take a picture of it now and send it to people. But it's just simple matting for proportions. So you have a 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 inch card. Easy math here. It tells you, well, if you're 4 3/4 on one side, then you want to use 3 1/2. And then if you want to do another one, maybe 4 by 2 3/4, and it's just proportionate. So that really helps. So you guys, if you're on your phones right now watching, you can, on my phone, it's this button and this button on the side. It screenshots it. Apples are a little different. I'm not quite sure, but you can screenshot this and save it for easy reference. So, whew, I think that's it. My Tip Tuesday that was going to be quick for you ended up to be a little bit longer, but hopefully I went into some good detail and you guys were able to take some notes on some of the sizes. I mean, it goes back to just kind of mapping out what you think you want to do and just go for it. And when it comes down to it, all you really care about is making a beautiful card, right? So, and it's just paper. They make more of it every day, and you can buy more of it every day. So, as Naughty Nancy would say, it's just paper. Work with it. So, all right, guys, lots of sunshine and love and hugs to you. Kelly will be airing her Technique Thursday card for you on Thursday, and I will see you live in the Hive on Thursday night for the Mac Daddy class of them all. The catalog launch party meets the In Colors and 4 different fun folds, and we came up with names for them tonight. One of them is an interlocking gatefold, one is an exploding gatefold, one is a money holder, I don't remember, and the other one, what did we call it? Tri-panel lock, no, that's the interlocking gate. What's the, oh, an accordion type card. So in case you're wondering, that's what we're doing on Thursday. Fun stuff. We had 10 for class last night on Monday, and they loved the cards. So I can't wait to share them with you live on Thursday night. All right, you guys, lots of sunshine and love and hugs to you. We'll see you later. Bye.